All right, welcome to the Shadow the Script podcast. This is your host, Jared May, joined by Chad Aune. Second episode in a row gets to appear, and you get all the limelight this episode. So lots to cover in terms of two really college football playoff games. We're not really going to get into the nooks and crannies of the G5 playoff matchups between Oregon and JMU and Tulane and Ole Miss, but we will be diving into the Miami versus Texas A&M game, as well as the Alabama and Oklahoma game, along with, some Christmas traditions and our top 3 Christmas movies. As we know, the holiday season is finally upon us, and we're 2 days out. It's December 23rd, 2025, 2 days away from Christmas. So Merry Christmas to your family from the STS network. I know it's full with a lot of holiday cheer and getting together with family and things like that, so cherish those moments. But if you have the time, we've got a 30 to 45-minute episode covering college football today. So, business as usual. We got to keep up with this sort of thing, Chad. Now that we're a team, it's our responsibility to talk to our almost 100 subscribers. We're at 96, and we're hoping to get to 100 before the end of the year. So, if this is your first time listening, or you are a returning audience member, thank you guys for joining in, and make sure to hit the subscribe button on the bottom if you haven't already. It costs you nothing. And then we continue to roll out the best content we can possibly provide entering season 4 of the Shadow the Script network. So with our team of contributors, Chad, welcome in, brother. How are you doing closer to Christmas Eve this week?
I'm feeling relaxed. I'm feeling grateful. I'm feeling blessed. Let me tell you.
Well, good. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, we were joking off camera before we get into college football stuff. We were joking. We were like, you've been chasing after this buck for 10 days or so, but it's kind of been on the camera. You've been sharing it with me. Should I shoot this one? I haven't really seen it in public. It only comes out at night or early in the morning. And then I remember you texted us like, I don't want to say it was early in the morning. I was hunting in South Texas too. But you were like, oh my God, I finally got it, and this, that, and the other. And so I think you have a picture of it, right?
Yeah, let me show you guys. Totally no AI, nothing to be worried about.
Look at the size of it. This is brilliant, bro.
Just to put it in perspective, this was the actual one. AI is going nuts nowadays.
And that's a beautiful deer.
I know. I'm freaking stoked about it. I love this. I love him.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's about 175 inches wide, and the buck looks to be about 13 years old. Dude, that is hilarious. You showed me that, and I was like, you gotta show the audience on the pod. Like,
it's because I saw that reel on Instagram. Like, no way, this is like actually happening that people can do this. And I just like chat, make it 175 inches, and it brought that up. And went, oh.
Can you imagine seeing that in the deer stand? That's not buck fever. That's I don't even know what the accelerant for that.
You have like PTSD shaking like in your body, just
the scope and everything in your hand. You're like, that's awesome. Congrats on the buck. That's a really cool looking deer, dude.
Yeah, I freaking love it.
I know you worked hard for it.
Very. Oh my gosh, I think I was up at like. What's funny is like I think I was up at like 5:40 every morning, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get in the stand a whole lot earlier, and I got up at 4. I think it was 4:50. I was in the stand by 5:20, and it was pitch black. I felt like forever. Oh my gosh, I thought I was like sitting in the dark for like 7 hours.
God.
Is this what duck hunters feel like?
No kidding. I don't even know. I've never been duck hunting, but my camo says otherwise.
Yeah.
But anyway. All right, well, we got let's start in with the first round of the college football playoffs. Obviously it started out with Alabama and Oklahoma. Alabama ended up coming on top in this game 34-24. And kind of an odd game. One thing to address up front was the atmosphere of Norman, Oklahoma prior to the game, with the light show and however many fit into that stadium, jam-packed, loud as can be, former Big 12 environment, now looked upon as one of the best environments in college football. If it weren't already one in the Big 12, obviously, but the SEC they tend to kind of advertise it as it just means more kind of thing. But man, it was awesome night game, really cool. It started out in Oklahoma's favor. I think they were up 10 or 17-3 at a certain point, and then it just went off the rails for Oklahoma, John Mateer, and co. So, and a lot of people were saying, Alabama, obviously before the playoffs, they were saying that Alabama shouldn't have been in because they're the only 3-loss team in there. And then they got blown out in the conference championship game versus Georgia, which we had covered in the previous episode. But leading into this one, when you were looking at the stats between Oklahoma's running game and Alabama on the flip side in the first half, what did you see on the stat side from the first half that just kind of was like eye-opening to you?
A lot, let me tell you. Oh my gosh. Like I mean it was 17 17 when it went into halftime. But at the beginning of the game, I thought it was like 10-0 at the end of the first quarter, and I thought like Oklahoma was about to, and Alabama couldn't get anything going, and I was like, Oklahoma's going to run the I don't know, just absolutely destroy Alabama, like kind of probably like a Georgia Alabama SEC championship scenario. Like I thought it was going to be at that point the same score, 28, maybe 28-7. I thought it was going to be like, but then they came back in half. But what stood out the most to me in this first half stats was Alabama only had 4 first downs. Alabama was one of 6 in third downs. They only had 100 total yards in the first half. Rushing, 6 rushes for -3 yards. Ty Simpson went 9 for 16 and 103, so 103 yards. Penalties, Alabama only had 1 for the 16 yards. And turnovers, Oklahoma gave up 1. And then time possession was 10 minutes and 22 seconds.
Ooh.
I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like Alabama just looked horrendous the whole time. And I was just like, this is insane. And then that second quarter, I was like, okay, things are starting to amped up a little bit. And then they were tied, and then Oklahoma scored. And I was like, I think they were kind of getting nervous. At least Oklahoma was, in my opinion. I think they were getting nervous that Alabama was actually, getting back into this game. But I was thinking, it was just as close as it was in Alabama. I'm like, Oklahoma's got this in the bag. And then after that, it was just, I didn't think Oklahoma could get anything going because Alabama just looked 100 times better in every facet of it. Yeah.
And the momentum, it shifted quite a bit, close to after I know there was the block punt that kind of started the downfall of Oklahoma. Then there was the very, I guess it was miscommunication on the outside with the receiver. And it looked to be like it was supposed to be like a hitch route or something. And receiver just kept on running, and maybe it was a cover 2 in terms of zone. And cornerback just took it to the house right after that. And all of a sudden you got a tie ball game 17-17. But, like you were saying, that first quarter, it was everything Oklahoma. And Oklahoma was playing the brand of football that you expected them to play when you were talking about how you were confused as to how Alabama was favored in this game where they lost Oklahoma on the road or lost Oklahoma at home in Tuscaloosa, and then they go into Norman for a playoff game and Alabama is the favorite. So it's interesting to kind of see Alabama or Oklahoma come out and just utterly dominate the trenches offensively, which is a rare sight for us to see Oklahoma dominate in an offensive fashion. And then, honestly, what was extremely eye-opening to me in this game was the missed plays, like the near missed plays for Oklahoma that could have been the difference in this game. That after the second half, where you're like, Mateer's going out there, he's making some really neat plays on the run, and I think it was the running back running deep that dropped it right in his hands. That probably would have been a touchdown if he had held on, or at least a red zone opportunity. And those are the type of things in the playoffs that you got to capitalize on, and it just didn't happen for Oklahoma. So completely different team. And I remember tweeting out too, I said I was trolling, and I don't think my fans or the followers on there, or people that saw the post really actually understand it, but it's kind of funny to like just post it without saying anything. I was like, did Alabama deserve to be in the playoffs after outscoring Oklahoma 34-7 after the first quarter? You know, and it's like kind of just leading up to the answer of, yeah, like Alabama, when they're playing at their best, quite arguably is the best team in college football, as we saw during the middle of the season. But yeah, I mean, both sides. I mean, Mateer was sacked 5 times. Ty Simpson was sacked 4 times. Both of them really couldn't get nothing going on the ground. Ty Simpson's not much of a runner. But Mateer, I think he had 15 or 16 attempts for under 30 yards or something like that. But no other production in the run game as well. But, I mean, what else did you see from this game in terms of the second half? Like, as things kept getting more and more out of hand, when you're looking at the head coach from Oklahoma or Kalen DeBoer. I know there was rumors surrounding Kalen DeBoer that he might go to Michigan. Those are not his words, but those are just reports that are like, okay, he could be a name to consider. And then you got Brent Venables on the other side, who over the last 2 years at least has had just this A-plus defense, but just no offense to counteract and support that defense. But how did you see that in the second half between the two programs?
Well, I think it was almost flipped at that point. You said like Oklahoma had that A-plus defense, and then they just couldn't stop anything, and then offense just looked way worse than what it actually was. Like, they just couldn't get anything going. And with the Kalen DeBoer thing, I think that was just like, I don't even know if he knew about it. Like, people saying, like, I think it was just like,
throw names out there.
Yeah, let's just throw names out there. And what's funny about that is when we were talking about last episode about the Michigan job, and a bunch of names came up, and Kalen DeBoer was one of them. And I was like, how? Like, in my opinion, if he's going to make it to a CFP, I don't think he's going to get either fired or unless Alabama got throttled by Oklahoma the same way they got throttled by Georgia, then I would see the possibility of them getting rid of DeBoer.
Yeah.
But at this point, but if they made it close, I don't even think. But I mean, with Alabama coming up top, I don't see DeBoer going anywhere, in my opinion. But just to go back to that, like, Oklahoma just looked scared, in my opinion. I don't know what it was. I wouldn't even say it's scared. It was more like it didn't seem, there was like no energy at all on the field. I didn't see, people hyping someone else up. Obviously I'm watching on TV, so I can't see in real person like what was going on. But just what I was seeing on TV, it was like, sometimes the camera would pan to the sidelines and everybody just looked down. It was just like everybody was like, it seems to me nowadays is that if you're about to lose, it's like, all right, am I going to stay here or am I going to transfer? Like nowadays, at this point, that's what what probably a lot of players are thinking nowadays on the sidelines when it comes to the end of the season. Like, whether it's a bowl game, like if they stay and play the bowl game, whether it's a CFP, if they're down 34-24, but with 4 minutes left or whatever it was, and they're just thinking to themselves like, well, should I stay? Should I stay or should I go? Like that kind of mindset. Like nowadays. Yeah. I mean, back then, I feel like it wasn't like that at all. It was more like we're going to give this our all. Don't matter no matter how much time is left, we're going to get everything we got because this is our last chance. Nowadays, it's just like, I could have a better opportunity somewhere else.
Right. Yeah. I can be bought by somebody else to a more stacked rostered program, even win or lose in this game. So I got to go out there and show out for me. And like you're mentioning before the paid players era, everybody was kind of playing for the love of the game. Mm-hmm. They weren't. I mean, yeah, they might have been paid underneath the table for certain players, and that's undisclosed. But in terms of today or back then, it was the majority. It was, we're going to play for the love of the game. We're going to go out there. We're going to play for the brand. We're going to play for the 100,000 fans that are here in the atmosphere. And this is our last chance. I only have a minimum amount of time in college football. Now it's more extensive to say I'm in my 5th year. I'm in my 6th year. I'm eligible for a 7th year. And I have some time. And I'm also getting paid a certain salary or a contract in a certain sense. to play football in college. So what do I have to lose? And I could just continue to ride this out and continue to earn some income. But then at the same time, it was like, if the energy was down, like you're saying, it's so weird to me because there should be an energy within college football to say, I want vengeance for the next time. If I didn't get it in this atmosphere, in the first college football playoff appearance in 12, like getting a home playoff game in the 12-team format, playing in the SEC, first time appearing in the SEC, and then going, oh shit, like we lost to Alabama at home. That didn't feel good. But at the same time, we had a 10-win season on one of the toughest schedules on paper. And I'd love to see what we're capable with this same group or a similar one next year. And instead of going, well, I played really well, let's go find a program that actually wins a championship. It's like, no, the whole priority and the goal is for you to be the difference maker at the program you're at, to make a difference at the current program that you're at. And like you're saying, I think a lot of these programs just kind of forget it once the cards fall out of their favor, and they're like, "Oh, well, we were winning 17-3, now it's 24-17, and there's just no coming back from this one." I'm like, "You're one score down. Like,
Yeah.
let's get it together." And
And I feel a lot of players were also just like, "Oh man, if we lose to Alabama, we lost to Alabama." You know what I mean? Not like, "Oh frick, like I'm gonna get my butt chewed for losing to Michigan." Or something like that. It's more. I feel like there's an essence where people might be like, "Oh, we lost to Alabama." Alabama's history. Like Alabama is a top-notch school, and it's been. I don't think they've ever been out of the top 25 since Nick Saban walked in. And I feel like people are just going to be like, kind of use that as an excuse, in my opinion.
Yeah, like it's okay. Like,
yeah.
It's
not okay. Like you should, if you're gonna prove to us that you can go into Tuscaloosa and beat them 23-21, they ought to come to Norman scared out of your mind, and you ought to beat them. That score should have been flipped, if not worse, in my opinion. You had time to prep. You knew what they were running. You knew how the schemes were going to work. You knew what kind of player each player was. You knew how they were going to run route, how they were going to pass set. Everything was in your favor, and you were at home. Yeah. And the fact that they couldn't get anything going was honestly bizarre to me, in my opinion.
Yeah, very bizarre. And at the same time, the kicker for Oklahoma missing those two field goals at the end to kind of keep them in the game, to give them at least a shot. I know it was a rare shot, but a shot at winning this football game down 10, and you miss two field goals to, put you within one possession. And he had been automatic all season. And then I don't know if the lights just got too bright or what, but, against Tennessee, that's kind of where he made a name for himself. I think he kicked like 6 field goals that game and made all 6. And just one of the premier kickers in college football, and he just kind of collapsed as well. So it was a complete breakdown, and then Alabama took every bit of advantage of it. And, they didn't really run the ball well. They've been injured at that position pretty much all year. But at the same time, Ty Simpson, after the first quarter, really started playing well, started taking what was given to him, and was highly productive. And then the game plan in the second half on defense for Alabama was phenomenal. They really put a stop to practically any production Oklahoma had in the first quarter. So, hats off to Alabama. They kind of silenced the haters, because now they're going to go into Indiana and play a Big Ten school that won the Big Ten Conference Championship. And, we'll be predicting those games next week. But, that's another prove-it game to where they could say, we actually are one of the best teams in college football, and we're playing in a neutral site versus Indiana, which I tend to disagree with neutral sites in the second round for first-round bye programs. But, yeah. But anywho. Okay, yeah, so before we transfer to the Texas A&M and Miami game, which I am dreadfully awaiting for, we are going to be talking about a little bit of Christmas traditions and some our top 3 Christmas movies. So we haven't done segments. If you're new to this show, like we actually, back when we had a different name, we actually used to do segments like these every episode. And that's something we'll probably try and bring back next year that's themed in alignment with college football, just to kind of make things fun and interesting. But I was like, it's Christmas. It's Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah, take them to church. But yeah, so I was like, it's Christmas. We ought to be talking about some things like in that category. But we'll start with our top 3 Christmas movies. And so the way we'll do it is you'll list your 3, I'll list my 3. And actually, the best way to do it, me and the medical guy found out, Jacob, was you do your 3, your number 3, and then I do my number 3, and then we go to your number 2, and then my number 2, and then et cetera, et cetera.
I like that.
So we'll trade it back and forth. But you could first go. Your honor, your honor.
Yeah. Before I get into my movies, I just wanted to say this. For the longest time, when you did the whole like your favorite quote at the end of the episodes, like at when you started this whole thing, dude, I had mine set up. I was like, once I get on this podcast, I knew exactly what I'm doing. I know everybody's gonna love it, and then it's just you got rid of it. I went, oh man, I won't say it now, but we'll do that in the future. But just guess. But number 3, I think you just got to go with the classic Home Alone, in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, we all grew up watching that. I mean, it's a great movie. I watched it with my girlfriend the other like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, and the nostalgia of that movie is awesome. I love that one.
Yeah, and the beginning of the movie, in terms of like when I apply it to real life, I'm always like, oh my god, I would not be able to whatever this family situation is. There's 1,000 kids running around in the house. There's stuff everywhere. There's a random fake cop just standing there like, hey, who's this? And hey, nobody's paying for pizza. Like the whole thing is funny because you're like, that is a nightmare in terms of like handling it as if I put myself as like a father in that one, I'd just be like, oh my god,
we slept in.
No. That's a good pick. My number 3 is The Muppets Christmas Carol. And
that's a good one.
I've watched that one since I was a kid, and little hand up moment here. When I was a child, I think that movie came out before 2010, closer to when I was born. I was born in 2000. And of course, if you know the Christmas Carol story by Charles Dickens, you've probably watched multiple movies or adaptations of it. It's like, there's in the Muppets Christmas Carol, it's Harley and Marley, and the ghosts, that haunt Ebenezer Scrooge and whatnot. And Michael Caine is Ebenezer Scrooge in that movie. And I used to hide behind the couch when they would come out, with the chains and all that kind of stuff. It used to scare the ever-loving crap out of me. And this is before I was 10 years old. So I would hide in the back, and my brothers would be like, what are you doing? I'm like, bro, that shit's scary. And but now it's a movie that we all quote as a family, and it's a fun Christmas one, and definitely in my top 3 list. I'm a sucker for The Christmas Carol. Just that story by Charles Dickens. I think it's the perfect Christmas movie. But yeah, that's my number 3.
That's a good one. That's a great pick. Number 2, you're gonna love this one just because we quote it all the time, and it's the Polar Express.
Yeah,
that one's just so good. I want to watch. I feel like I want to watch it every year, and just us being able to quote that movie all the time just makes it 100 times better. Well,
to the North Pole, of course.
This is the Polar Express.
Well, you coming?
You coming? And then just the other ones where he's like, a girl. Ain't we all?
Yeah, dude. Tom Hanks kills that shit.
I think he's got like 5 roles in that movie.
Yeah.
He's the conductor or whatever. He's the ghost. He's Santa. I think he acts as the kid, not like the voice actor, if I'm not mistaken. But he's like that little tech crap that they put all over their face, like the black dots and stuff like that. I think he walks as the kid, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right. I think he's also the boy's dad at the end.
You're right. I think he is. He's got so many roles.
And the narrator. And he's like, the bell still rings for me.
He is the movie.
Tom Hanks is Polar Express. One of my biggest complaints in that movie is it Billy who sings in the back with a caboose or whatever?
I wish upon a star.
I wish upon a star. Yeah. That shit always, I like now that I'm, again, hand up, again. I used to be scared of the puppet scene in that. You're a Scrooge.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that scene. Yeah, that terrified me too.
Toys. Yes. I don't think that, I mean, I might not have to put my hand up on that one, but like, it was scary.
It was. It's still very scary.
Freaky today. And then I want to say, like, in terms of Christmas songs, the one I've been listening to a lot this month is the Josh Groban's "Believe," the one that comes in at the end for the credits, where it's like children.
Oh yeah.
He's like an opera singer, and he kills that stuff. Like I never listened to the lyrics, but like the lyrics are pretty solid.
To be honest, you low-key killed that right there.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
It's such a great movie.
Because, he says, children sleeping, snow is softly falling, dreams are calling like bells in the distance. We were dreamers not so long ago, but one by one, we all had to grow up. When it seemed the magic slipped away, we find it all again on Christmas Day. I was like, damn, that hit.
That really hits. I never paid attention to that.
You know, because it's big for me this year because, like, you know, we're all working now and, like, in the adulthood and stuff. And, like, Christmas used to be like that thing where you just can't wait, you know, to wake up in the morning and stuff. And now you kind of lost it. You know, you used to be a dreamer. You used to be this, that, and the other. And then now it's like, you know, what do you want? I'll send you the link. And you send me the link of, like, exactly what I want.
Let me show you the Amazon package I want.
Yeah, exactly. And then I just open the thing, and I'm like, oh, wow, it's exactly what I asked for. Like, I've told my family like, multiple times, I'm like, don't even, like, send me, like, we do, like, an exchange between this brothers and my sister-in-laws. And I'm like, I prefer you guys just give me an idea, or I know what you guys like, and let me go buy what you like. You know, my brother likes to hunt. He likes, you know, sunglasses. He has a big affinity for watch and like luxury watches and things like that. Like, let me buy something that you like and make it thoughtful instead of like, here, send me a link of exactly what you want at the budget of $50, and then you'll open it and be like, wow. Act excited instead of being excited, you know.
See, we do the me and Turner do the, like, we send each other's the link. We're not creative like you guys.
Oh, we still really don't do it. I've just been kind of begging everybody, like, hey, we should
start
do it
doing
this
it.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's everybody does it differently. Yeah, okay, so my number 2 is actually this one has usurped a lot of movies. And I guess I'll have to go back and say an honorable mention for me is The Christmas Carol by Jim Carrey that Disney did. That's an honorable mention, so the Christmas carols are kind of right next to one another. But
is that when he's Scrooge?
Yeah, that's where he's Scrooge.
Okay, yeah.
But number 2 is It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes, that's a good one.
Jimmy Stewart. And, dude, I watched that movie with my parents last week. I was just in town visiting, and they were like, I said, I used to make fun of him and go, oh, Mara, I didn't know I have so many friends. And so I was like, let's watch it. I've never seen it. And, you know, they colorized it and whatnot. And my guy, I shed a thug tear at the end. I was like, holy smokes, this is a good movie. It was genuine. It's a great storyline. It's a great plot. It's, so I was like, damn, this is a top 3. I got to watch this every year now.
I'm kind of excited to hear what your number 1 is now that you have that at 2.
We'll see. I think you already said it, so I guess I'll go ahead and then you'll go your number 1. But my number 1 is Polar Express. I think that's always. I apply it to our family's tradition when I was growing up. So every, I don't know, right after Thanksgiving, we buy an ornament every year that is accordance to what we did that year. So if I got like my driver's license, I got a car for my ornament. And then when we were growing up, we got a football player every single year. So I had like LaDainian Tomlinson, Ben Roethlisberger, Tony Romo, Michael Strahan, all these different guys. And while we're decorating the tree, me and my brothers and stuff, like we would have Polar Express playing, and like dinner would be cooked and cookies would be made and shit like that. So that was like our now it's Christmas sort of thing. And so because of tradition, Polar Express is number one, although that tradition is kind of withering away due to new families and things like that. And then it's a little different, but 20 years of my life we did that.
My number one is, we do it every year, White Christmas. It was made in 1954. My dad watched it with his mom every Christmas, and then we did it when we were growing up. And then we all went to college, and then I think we stopped doing it for like a year or two. But then we'd always like walk in on him watching it, and so we're like, we gotta bring this back. So now we're back to doing that, and that's something I want to do. Like, even if my Hannah doesn't want to watch it with me, which I totally get, from 1954. I'm going to watch it every Christmas, whether I'm with someone or not. My kids can join me if they want. But
it's tradition.
Yeah.
We have to.
Like, I have to keep this going. I want to get to the point where my grandkids want to watch this, and it'll be my dad's great grandkids watching this. And then their great grandmother started this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's just an awesome tradition to start.
Well, if no one watches with you, I'll do it.
Yeah, sweet. Texas A&M.
All right, so top three movies: Muppets, Christmas Carol, It's a Wonderful Life, and Polar Express. And then you had what were your three again?
Home Alone, Polar Express, and White Christmas.
A brilliant list. If you disagree, reply in the comments. No,
we do not care.
We do not care. Now Christmas traditions. Yeah, I know. I'm fumbling for words. I got so much on my mind. There's so many gifts that I got to open. I didn't grow up with a lot. I used to get only 12 presents every year.
I'll pray for you tonight.
Horrible. So now I only get 2, and the budget's lower. So anyway,
poor thing.
All right, for your family, and for yourself, your favorite Christmas tradition that you guys do.
Favorite Christmas tradition? Well, we always used to do. That was really the main tradition, was the White Christmas movie. But to just kind of like make it a little different, we'd always go. It wasn't on Christmas Day. It was just kind of around Christmas time. We'd go to Austin to see my aunt and uncle, and then we'd see his 5 kids that he had, and their husbands and wives, and then their kids. So it was just a ton of people. And then when the kids went to bed, we'd play left, right, center. Yeah. And so we'd play that every year, and then I kind of wish that was like my all-time favorite tradition growing up. But we haven't done. We've all got lives now. We can't really make it to Christmas anymore. But that one was my favorite, besides the White Christmas one. Yeah, was the left, right, center.
Yeah, that's good. I think we do a similar game at my mom's parents' house, my Nana and Gram's. Our favorite tradition is with me and so I grew up with 3 brothers. I know you know that, but the audience might not. And I was the third, and so there was a Christmas, I think it was in 2004. My dad got us a GameCube. And so he was like, I actually joked about it with him yesterday. I said, that's the best gift y'all ever got us. Like, I remember that Christmas specifically. And he's like, yeah, it's the worst mistake I ever made was getting y'all a video game. And so we all started laughing. I was like, yeah, I know. But, when none of my brothers could sleep on Christmas Eve and stuff leading up into Christmas, and so Ryan was very tech savvy. Ryan's on the show, the analyst, and he had a projector and I remember it was like 2000, probably 2008. It goes all the way back on the game I'm about to mention. But we hooked up his projector inside of my biggest brother's closet and closed the door and plugged in the GameCube because we all couldn't sleep and the gifts weren't out yet. And so we started Super Smash and Super Mario Strikers. And so now every year we all four go upstairs or wherever and plug the GameCube in and we play Super Mario Strikers, a tournament, like a 16-game tournament on the hardest mode. And just wipe the floor with these super team clankers and Wario and Waluigi and things like that. But on the Super Strikers, it keeps a history of your games. And so we'll go in there and look at our history. And we've won so we've done it since, I think, 2012, but it dates back to 2007 of just all of our tournament wins. It tells us our record, who we beat in the thing. It's phenomenal. So now, this year, I texted my brothers yesterday and I said, "Who has the GameCube?" And Travis, my oldest brother, he's like, "Yeah, I got it. I'll bring it. We'll play Super Mario Strikers and whatnot." And so every time we'll look back at the history after we're done wiping the floor with these fools, and just kind of admire and say, "Holy shit, we've been doing this for 20 years almost."
That's insane. Yeah,
and it's fun, dude. It's such a good game, and it's harmless and all that kind of stuff. Nowadays, they have kids and stuff, so we only do a 4-game tournament, but it's still a tournament.
Yeah,
we're close the door. You can bother us for an hour. Now we're drinking beer while we're playing it and stuff. So
what's
times
funny,
changed, but
what's funny
stuff.
You say that when Turner and I. When we got the Xbox 360, we would ask the video games for Christmas. And what's funny is Turner would ask for one game and I'd ask for another, so that way we could both get the games we wanted. And then it got to a point where my mom was like, "Okay, both of y'all pick one game." So we'd have two.
They were outsmarting the system.
And so Turner was picking I was picking all the Halo games, and Turner was picking all the Call of Duty games, and we'd have to switch because I remember this one year I got Halo 3 for Christmas, and that's still my number one best game of all time. It's the best game of all time. I got that game. It was the first thing I opened, and I had 5 or 6 other presents to open, and then my stocking. I opened those things up in 3 minutes, ran upstairs, and played that game until I finished it. And it took me 7 hours. I was playing games for 7 hours.
That's one of the greatest games. It was similar on our end. We would almost all that's a secondary tradition we would do is my parents in our stocking would give us a movie. We would each have a movie each. I remember getting Guardians of the Galaxy was one of the movies I can remember getting where I was like, "Oh, this is cool." And so we would have it on Blu-ray or something. And that was back when, discs were a thing. So if you go back in our cabinet now, my parents are building a home now, but it's probably in a box somewhere. But if you looked into the cabinet, you would see 200 movies, and it would date back to the 1990s. We had VHS tapes of Frosty the Snowman, Robin Hood from Disney from made in the 1950s or whatever with Marion and the King Henry or whatever. So we'd be watching those upstairs at our old house in spring and get a movie every Christmas, and it would be that was something that we used to do all the time. But yeah. Christmas is a wonderful time filled with God bless us, everyone.
Fun times.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, let's get into the Texas A&M playoff game versus Miami.
I'll leave the stats up to you since that's your team.
Yeah.
And I'll just give you my initial thoughts.
And there's not a lot to go off of, to be honest with you. And we can get into the stats here in a second. But as I was thinking about this game, I was in South Texas this past weekend, and I got to watch it up there. And we're all, after the morning hunt, and just kind of sit there and it's just I was after the game ended, everybody's kind of not giving me a hard time, but talking about, kind of what are you going to say about it? And I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, I know there's an entertainment aspect to, to this whole gig, and I literally was like, I don't have anything crazy special to say about this game because there just wasn't a lot that happened. I don't understand how the football game panned out. And here's what I mean by that. I went to college in Texas A&M. Yes, we had like a snow blizzard once, but never once did we have in December on a sunny 75-degree day, 30-mile-per-hour winds, whistling and whirling throughout Kyle Field to the point where you're incapable of running an offense effectively on both sides. And so I was just dumbfounded by that at the beginning of the game because I'm like, what? There's winds? Like, what are they talking about? And then you saw offensive production-wise, like Marcel Reed, his bubble screens and his quick passes and all that kind of stuff, everything from the first quarter to the last quarter were completely inaccurate. And it caused a lot of like empty yardage. And so that was highly frustrating to watch. And then on the flip side of that, you watch Carson Beck and their offense for the first half do nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
Texas A&M got into the plus territory 3 or 4 times in the first half, 0 points. He had that wacky-ass fumble at a certain point. But anyway, I just was watching the first half and going, A&M is completely dominating the line of scrimmage. They just have to find a way to get some points in positive territory. And and quit turning the ball over when they get over there. Because Miami is not moving the football an inch.
No.
And then, you flip to the second half, and then that Fletcher guy for the running back for the Miami Hurricanes just starts popping off out of nowhere, which is, respect to him. And, A&M just completely kind of shut down and melted itself down at midfield almost every drive. My biggest takeaway from the game, and we'll get into, trade back and forth with takes and stuff like that, but my biggest takeaway was I don't like blaming football games on one particular person. I think it's a collective thing. But my goodness gracious, I have to put this game on Marcel Reed. I have to.
Yes.
I understand there have been excuses in the media and with analysts saying he's still a young player. He's 21. He's a redshirt sophomore or junior, somewhere within there. If there were just throws throughout that game that would have made the difference that he just missed. It was bad. And, towards the last drive, you march all the way down the field from your own 15, just first down, all the way down inside the 5 and throws off target. And that was the biggest issue with Marcel Reed. He was just off target, and he was nervous. He was double clinching his throws. He took 7 sacks in this ball game. I know the Miami pass rush is pretty premier, but that was my biggest takeaway before we get into the rest of the stuff was this game. I kind of had to majority pin it on Marcel Reed to say, and people were going to be watching this going, of course, he's a normie. He puts it on Marcel Reed. If you watch the protection was brilliant. It was brilliant. He took the 7 sacks because he would disrupt the pocket that the offensive line generated for him and just kind of panic, freak out, run, and then that freed up rushers and led up to sacks. So, no, it's not really a normie take. It's the right take. And,
yeah.
I can't emphasize this enough. I don't like pinning it on one player because I think it's a collective thing. Football is that way. But there were wide-up receivers and bubble screens and off-target throws the whole game. And it sucks. But anyway, sorry if I took a ton there, but I guess that's what people are waiting for from an Aggie on the show. But
yeah.
What do you have from this game in terms of the first and the second half and how Miami played and how A&M played and just, your whole thing?
Well, I think that was the worst game I've ever watched when it came to any sort of movement, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with you. Marcel Reed was the problem. Like Ryan was even saying the guy's throwing the ball 1,000 miles an hour on a 5-yard out. Like an over route is going 100 miles an hour. I'm like, dude. And then Ryan even brought it up, and when we were texting in the group chat while we were watching the game, I think it was like kind of towards A&M's red zone. He threw a lob pass, and we're like, he threw a lob pass finally. I think it was right before the kick or something like that, and before some sort of penalty. And I was like, where has that been all game? And then even my dad brought up like right at the end of the game when A&M was literally going down the field so fast. My dad was like, where was these plays coming from? And where was this outcome by Marcel Reed coming from? Because Marcel Reed looked terrified. I don't care what kind of class. He says he's a redshirt sophomore. Dog, there are so many people that are like that are in his shoes that could play 100 times better than him right now. At least at that point. Like Marcel, he's got enough experience to be able to sit in that pocket, or if not sit in that pocket, roll out and see the field a lot better and know not to throw it 1,000 miles an hour when the guy's 5 yards in front of him. And I'm not just saying that because I hate A&M. It was just like you even said it, like it's not a normie thing. Like that was his fault. And I also think the coordinator, like, why are you running those awesome plays at the end of the game with 2 minutes left? Like, where were those like throughout the game? You're running a quick 10-yard, 5-yard out, and you're moving down the field. I'm like, why couldn't you do this in the first or second quarter and get those other 3 points, or maybe even a touchdown? Like, then it makes it 10-6, and if you score, then you're in the lead. And then if you score a touchdown, you're tied 10-10. Like, where was this coming from? And then, like, the O-linemen, oh my gosh, they did an awesome job. Oh my gosh. Like, I've never seen, like, that was an amazing job by A&M's offensive line, because they were holding, and Miami's got a really good defense. And to see them hold them, Marcel Reed could have sat in that pocket for 6 seconds. And normally you need to get the ball out by, like, what, 2 or 3 seconds?
Yeah, 2 to 3 seconds.
Yeah, like, there was so much time for him to sit in that pocket and look to where he needs to put the ball. And then when he did find it, it was like, oh my God, I got to get it to that window or it's going to close. And I was like, no, if it's closing, look somewhere else or roll out to create more motion, whether a window closed to make another one open. It was chaotic by Marcel Reed, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then you look at the run game. I just, everybody was excited. Le'Veon Moss is coming back, and then all of a sudden, Le'Veon Moss is out again. You're like, we got Le'Veon Moss. We lost Le'Veon Moss, and it was literally what it was like. And then Amari Daniels and Emmitt Smith's son, E.J. Smith, kind of had to carry the workload, and there was just nothing going on the ground with them. And I think that's part of vanilla play calling. And just kind of running. What I noticed in terms of running the ball in this game, it was right up the center's ass. And there's nothing more you can ask Ryan, you can ask Jacob. When we had this show back in the day, it was our major complaint when Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott shared the running back room for the Dallas Cowboys, 2 years ago, was, okay, you're going to run Elliott right up the ass, and you're going to get Pollard, who's your gasher, who if you can get him outside of the tackle box, he can make plays, and run him right up the ass. Mm-hmm. And so it was just the scheme of running the football was very ineffective. And I understand it was they named it as, they called it playoff football, to where it was like 3-3 or 0-0 at half. This is playoff football. The line of scrimmage is very important. There are ways to get around that. There are ways to get creative and run it outside, or get under center and establish some type of a run game. It just was not there all game for Texas A&M. The rush yards that A&M accumulated were on undesigned quarterback scrambles from Marcel Reed, which, to Marcel Reed's credit, he did a pretty good job of doing. So I didn't really like the play scheming from Texas A&M. And yes, you can say like, oh, Colin Klein is 1 foot out the door already going to Kansas State. Well, at the same time, would Kansas State want to inherit a coach that shit the bed in the college football playoff? No, it doesn't make any sense for Colin Klein to have 1 foot out the door in a playoff game where he's coercively looking for that same opportunity as a head coach at his future home at Kansas State to be in the college football playoff and to be experienced in that arena and to say, I have these credentials to go off of to say I know how to call an offense in the playoffs or against an out-of-conference opponent, which he showed against Notre Dame earlier in the year. But A&M was just a completely different team the last 3 or 4 weeks, and it really started to show. I thought 3 weeks off would enable them to perform at a higher level at home for their first ever college football playoff experience. And they set so many bizarre records, like the first ever college football playoff game to not have a score in the first half, the only college football playoff team in the first round to not score a touchdown. I mean, every single fear that an Aggie fan had occurred at Kyle Field on Saturday. Every single one. The fraud claims, they didn't score a touchdown, the setting a record at half for nobody scoring, the 1-11 when College Game Day comes to visit College Station is now 1-12. Miami the ACC not being a good conference, and you lose to the only ACC team in the college football playoff. All those sorts of things just blew A&M out of the water, and so there's some questions now to be had. Or I would say it's at the quarterback position, but okay. On the Miami side, though, unless you have more to add with A&M, but
no, I was just going to put more salt on the wound. Miami wasn't even an ACC champion contender.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that hurt. No.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm just kidding.
And just to have them come to your place and lose, like, I expected more.
Undeserving.
I expected more from A&M. Like, as a Longhorn fan, just my blood. Like, as a Longhorn fan, I was, one, rooting for A&M just because I cannot stand the ACC, the all-crap conference. And two, I mean, my sister goes there, so I kind of have to. So,
yeah, and I guess flipping over to the Miami side, Carson Beck, he had I know he eclipsed 100 yards passing, but he had 80 towards the end of the game, and really didn't have to do much. His one touchdown pass came from Malachi Toney on a jet sweep touch pass. Fletcher ran for over 170 yards, averaging 10.1 yards per carry on 17 carries. Which most of the production came from Malachi Toney, who had the punt return that somehow was stopped by A&M. He had the jet touchdown late in the game. He also had the fumble at midfield that gave A&M the opportunity to win the football game late, but then made up for it with that touchdown late on offense. But Carson Beck, it's so interesting to me. A&M would have wiped the floor with Miami, and I know it's coulda, shoulda, woulda, and I don't really go off that sort of stuff, but he would have wiped the floor with Miami. I hear a dog barking.
yeah, that's Lucy. She's going nuts right now.
Lucille? If they got Carson Beck under duress, and he just wasn't. He got the ball out quick. There was just no complication on Miami's side. It was, we're going to ground and pound, control the line of scrimmage, and Carson Beck's going to throw checkdowns all game.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't lift a finger to win this football game. And that's what's most infuriating, because I thought he was going to be the reason that Miami would lose. But to transition into your take with Miami, you said last week that if Marcel Reed throws 2 interceptions, I don't remember if you said before the first half or if it was just in general, but 2 interceptions, A&M would lose this game.
I said they wouldn't score a touchdown. I think.
Something
like that. Yeah. I just knew he was going to collapse. And then just to go to, I don't want to keep talking about A&M, just to go to Miami. I guess they just did enough. It didn't even look that impressive to me. Like, I think they're about to get their butt stomped, in my opinion. And it was not at all impressive. Like I said, like at the beginning, and we were talking about the A&M and Miami game, that was just a crappy game, like, to watch. And to see Miami come out on top just sucks. But I don't even know what to say about Miami, because Miami didn't look impressive at all either. And to have almost 50 yards less than A&M is insane. in my opinion. And then, like, the only thing that they outdid A&M in was rushing yards. And A&M had 100. A&M had 132 more passing yards.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Carson Beck is nothing special. I think he was carried by everybody else. And he should be thanking them all instead of blaming them all, in my opinion.
I would agree. Yeah. This is the second A&M game in a row where I have said that the better team did not win.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what's most infuriating. I understand Texas was underrated in terms of their record at the time and their season. That was kind of wishy-washy in the middle of the season. I understand they're a good team, probably the best SEC team that A&M played in the season, outside of maybe LSU on the road at 6-2, or Notre Dame, of course. Like, that would be another tough team that they played. But within the conference, Texas was probably the most difficult team, and but I still thought A&M was miles better than Texas. I thought, and I don't really know how you can prove that, but just watching A&M at the time, they're undefeated in the SEC, and they just they had the lead in the first half. It was in control, and then boom, collapse. And then this Miami game, the whole game, it was just mistake after mistake. 3 turnovers by Marcel Reed, 7 sacks accumulated, the interception to close out the game to end the season. My favorite part, and this is exactly what I would have done if I was in this situation as a player. My favorite part of the game, ironically, was when they kneeled the ball out. As soon as that knee hit the ground, you saw about 7 A&M players sprint to the locker room.
That tells you everything.
They were done. They were fuming mad because what explanation can you give? And that's what I would have done in that situation. I'm not shaking hands and doing all that and kissing babies and blah blah blah. Like, I'm going to the locker room. That was bullshit.
Yeah.
What are we doing out here? And yeah, so I know A&M fans are pretty upset, very upset. But look on the bright side, guys. We won the volleyball national championship.
Yeah, my sister's roommate, Kendall Stowers. Shout out to her. Won a natty.
Shout out, Kendall. Yeah,
I don't know.
That was nuts, by the way.
I was curious how you felt about the Marcel Reed thing with the. I brought it to you when I was like, Marcel Reed had partied like the night before. Well, then my sister was like, no, it was like a few nights before the game. I was like, still, why are you going out a week before the CFP? In my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I don't know. I did see that. Obviously, I don't know if it was a day before, if it was 2 days, if it was 5 days, if it was just
matter.
a video that somebody posted and that was from a long time ago. Like, I don't know. But I don't know if he had alcohol in his hand in the video. I don't
know either.
So either way, if it was during the week, yes, like, you got to look at that and go, really? Like, we got bigger things to handle, and that's obvious, right? I think the bigger question with Marcel Reed is, in terms of ceiling, Mike Elko talked about this with, his ceiling it's far from being reached. And he's confident in the development program of Texas A&M to kind of get him to where he needs to be. And I think he sees, I know people are going to roll their eyes at this maybe because I'm sitting here talking, but I think he sees what I see. I think he sees that there is no touch pass within Marcel Reed's arsenal. There is there's this jitterness where he can't really control his nerves throughout the games or in big moments. I think there's a panic within the pocket where he has to learn. I don't know. We need to give him a cheeseburger and get him some weight.
For real.
So there's a lot of things, but I think Elko might see that. And I think the bigger question, to go back to what I was trying to say, is the transfer portal is looking extremely juicy with quarterback talent.
Oh, yeah.
And I understand Marcel Reed is a good guy. I understand. But good guys don't make great quarterbacks. Great quarterbacks make great quarterbacks. Just plain and simple. So I thought of it as a possibility where if Elko had a sit-down with Marcel Reed and said, hey, we're talking about the future of you at Texas A&M and how you feeling, and maybe have this honest evaluation, like an eval, a team meeting at the end of the year, like or a player meeting. at the end of the year with an evaluation, and Marcel Reed doesn't like it and doesn't like the feedback that he got from Elko. My prediction is that he would follow Colin Klein to Kansas State in a nightmare scenario, and because Colin Klein's sitting here breaking down in tears about how much he loves Marcel Reed, and Elko would come in and say, I've got criticizes, hypothetically. Then you can go grab the juiciest talent in the transfer portal. And I'm not a full advocate for getting rid of Marcel Reed. I think there's still more to him. I think he can get it. I don't know. I really don't know. It's one of those hard decisions where in NFL terms, before the players were being paid in college football, you could make this. There was no decision to be made here. You stick with your guy. Mm-hmm. But now that you can pay players and there's talent acquisition beyond your wildest dreams, you could. There is no issue with the rest of that A&M roster. There's not a weakness in sight. Their defensive line, possibly a question mark, but they played extremely well versus Miami in that first half, and the secondary is incredible. The running backs are amazing. The wide receivers are highly talented. The quarterback was the only thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. From your perspective with the transfer portal, I mean, what would you want? Not that it's going to happen, but with Marcel Reed, would you want him to stay if you were an Aggie, or would you say like no emotion involved, him leave?
As an Aggie, see, I don't know. Well, I do know actually. I feel like he needs to go figure out. I don't think he can be an SEC quarterback, in my opinion. You got to be more comfortable and calm and cool, collected as a redshirt sophomore. If you're going to want to play, if you're going to want to be a redshirt sophomore and start at A&M, you gotta be more calm and cool, and collected. Like I was saying earlier, like you can't be a redshirt sophomore and be expected to have cushion when it comes to, making bad plays. Like, oh, he's a redshirt sophomore. Oh, he's a redshirt sophomore. He played a full season last year, and then, he had his redshirt year that he needed to figure out and, grow and grow and grow. I'm like, this guy's had 3 years to figure it out. And it might be me just being too hard, but in my opinion, like this is business now that the NIL is in this. This isn't developed. This is people are putting money, millions and millions of dollars into A&M. You can't just have a guy, play amazing throughout the whole season, go 11-0, play Texas and crap the bed, and then lose to Miami, who didn't even make it to the ACC championship. Like, I think if I'm an Aggie, I think Marcel Reed should go and pick up somebody, maybe the guy from Mizzou that just entered the transfer portal. He might do something. But Marcel Reed, if he's going to stay, he's got to get it together, because that was embarrassing, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say, and then we can close out the episode, was, 4 out of his last 6 games, I believe, is a stat, he had multiple interceptions.
Yeah.
So that was Miami, Texas, South Carolina, and Sanford would be like one of the ones that he didn't throw one, and then Missouri. And so the back half of the season, it was kind of like we were begging to lose, especially South Carolina, and then it actually happened versus Texas, and then we lost versus Miami. So
yeah,
turnovers are there's a major point swing when that happens. But yeah, a lot of questions to be answered. I'm sure we'll get more answers as the offseason continues. From a business standpoint, you're absolutely right. You can make a change and improve. Like, not downgrade. You can make a change and drastically improve. So, I don't know. Elko might take a look at something like that and make a decision. And, it could be a Lagway situation without a new head coaching change. Mm-hmm. But where you have a sit down and say, are we sure you're the franchise player? And he goes, fuck you, I'm leaving. Like, I don't know.
That's how you have to start looking at players now, as franchise-wise.
Yeah.
That's really how you have to start it now.
Yeah, essentially. You can get them for 6 years now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. All right. Well, that is the first round of the college football playoff. Like I said, we were not going to cover Oregon and JMU and Ole Miss and Tulane. There are some questions. Yeah, exactly. There are some questions surrounding that. We can get into that maybe next week as we predict the outcomes of the quarterfinal. So next week, predicting quarterfinal matchups, things like that, talking a little G5 ball. We covered a lot of G5 last week, but you'll probably see us again. It's not going to come out like a Tuesday per usual. It's going to be a specific day because the games come out on a Thursday and a Friday, I believe, or a Wednesday and a Thursday for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Yeah. So you'll hear from us about when that next episode's going to be coming out. But in the meantime, you guys have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and spend the time with your families and celebrate those traditions. Chad, watch White Christmas and those glorious traditions that you guys do over there.
I'll tell you how it is.
Yeah, exactly. But all right, well, God bless us, everyone. Like, follow, subscribe at Shadow the Script on all platforms. Merry Christmas.
Smiling.